Strip everything down to image, word, idea. Without narrative, it means nothing. This is MJ. I'm an author, I'm an artist, I'm an analyzer. You can find all my work at mjmaneers.com. Well, let me tell you this. This is episode 77 of Swinging Through Comics. I'm doing a Himitsu Sentai Gorenger manga analysis. It's 354 pages. I've broken down a chapter out of the first 130 or something like that pages. I'll explain more as I go through it. But anyway, I'm entitling this analysis Aim Between the Eyes. And I have a big question that I will get back to for those who've actually read the manga, or at least this first chunk of it, this first roughly third. Does Goro have a point when he challenges Shinmei about who the Gorengers serve? That's the big question. And I will ping back to that at the end after I've talked about everything else that I'm going to talk about with this manga. So, Super Sentai Himitsu Sentai Gorenger was published in the United States of America, the greatest country in the world, on April 20th, 2021. The writer and artist is Shotaro Ishinomori. The translation was done by Alethea and Athena Nibley. That's either... I gotta find out who those people are, because that sounds like two women's names, which either means they're sisters or they're married. And I'm just curious. I've never heard of a team of translators like that. Anyway, or maybe Alethea is a single name like Cher or Madonna. Continuing on, Adaptation, which this is multiple... This is at least 4 different manga series collected from different ongoing magazines into a single volume. So I believe that's where the phrase adaptation comes in. Was done by Alexis Roberts and Dawn Davis. So the lettering was done by Bambi, Eloriaga-Amago, and Roland Amago, which again sounds like another husband-wife team. I don't know if that's true or not, or a spouse team. Well, that sounds like a husband and wife for sure. But anyway, enough of that. It's 352 pages for the collected story. And here's the synopsis. An evil secret society called the Black Cross Army threatens world peace, and only an elite task force known as the Earth Guard League, Eagle, can stop them. After the Black Cross Army destroys Eagle's headquarters across Japan, 5 young recruits survive, hiding in a secret underground base. They are given enhanced battlesuits that empower them with superhuman abilities, transforming the youths into an unstoppable squad to combat evil. So, like I said earlier, the book's kind of weird in the way it's laid out. So, to me, the book has an insufficient chapter breakdown, so I am having to do it on my own. I decided that chapter 1, which I will dub Betrayal, runs from page 1 to page 145. So, Gorenger chapter 1, so to speak, sees Tsuyoshi accept the role of Akaranger that he initially rejected. He leads the Gorenger to fight the Black Cross Army and avenge his father's death. Then, Aoranger Akira Shinmei gets a tip from a friend that finds the Gorenger in a desperate trap and forces him to make a soul-splitting choice. They escape with their lives, but not unmarred by the malice of Black Cross Army. And I actually believe I wrote that synopsis myself. It's from a few months ago, so... I also haven't done I've got 5 issues of Radiant Black to analyze, to read and analyze at this point too. So, yeah, it's one of those periods in my life where things are kind of crazy. So, I will start off with the bad, because there's a lot to like about this manga, and I'll just give you spoilers. I am going to go ahead and read the rest of the Gorenger manga. I like it a lot. But it's weird that it's 4 different manga. Maybe it's 3, but anyway, it's weird that it's these different series basically, and I think one of them is not a continuation, but it's like a retelling of the story, which is super odd, but whatever. Maybe it was for different audiences, I'm not sure, but regardless, I like it and I'm going to keep going, so you have that faith. And I'm releasing this on the 84th birthday, or what would have been the 84th birthday of Shotaro Ishinomori if he were still alive, January 25th, 2022, so I'm inspired to go with this, and hopefully, since I've got the big omnibus of the Kamen Rider manga as well, in my possession. I think I'll do that over, not on Swinging, well, I might do it on Swinging Through Comics, but I might also do it on a Kamen Rider dedicated podcast. So we'll see what happens with that. But enough waffling. I will get into the review, the analysis. So, bad stuff in this issue. The lack of clear chapter breaks is off-putting. That's not, well, that's sort of Ishinomori and sort of the adapters. So the fact that this collects 4 separate manga, oh, there we go, runs, 4 separate manga runs and doesn't really make that clear within the table of contents is a problem too. So honestly, some of the transitions from scene to scene were rough. To be clear, this is a criticism of Ishinomori's work, not the 7 Seas staff who compiled the collection. So yeah, Ishinomori, like at the end of the first big scene, where Tsuyoshi is learning to, has been fighting and has been sparring, Peggy, right? Peggy Himitsu, I think is her name. Anyway, Peggy tells him, like, oh, hey, that's amazing. I don't know, she says something, and he's like, anyone can do it. And then there's, like, a kick that comes off to the side, and it's like George Orwell did in the movie with Rosebud. Oh, boy. Hold on. This is not good. No, 1984 Animal Farm. Hold on. It's on the tip of my tongue. Citizen Kane. Citizen Kane had a lightning transition, I think is what they called it, where people were yelling or cheering at one scene and then it transitioned into another scene. And he did multiple transitions like that, where one thing was happening here, and as it was happening, it transitioned to something else in another scene, which was similar, which if you remember the Superior Spider-Man movie, the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man from 2001, Tobey Maguire, Sam Raimi, Michael Sargent, something, right? Anyway, they throw their hats up in the air, or their hats are being thrown up in the air while the Quest Aerospace explosion is happening, I believe. That's another example of that kind of transition. So, something similar happens here. It goes from him being on one page, and then as you turn, there's all these feet and hands flying as fighting is happening, because it's showing all the people sparring in his father's dojo. So, anyway, there's some stuff like that, which is maybe artistic, and then there's some stuff where I think it was just kind of sloppy or something, because it didn't read to me as a valid or good transition, and I found myself confused at different spots, wondering, well, what the heck's going on here? What went wrong? Did I miss something? So anyway, I've got fun and positive things to move on to next, so I'll move on to the good stuff. So Tsuyoshi referencing Kamen Rider and Ultraman as he is examining the Akaranger suit was a lot of fun. Tsuyoshi calling out the bright color of the suit was funny, especially because they're supposed to be, and are called, a hidden or secret squad. But, you know, they're in primary colors and such. So, that was fun. Or another element, the action is so fluid and smooth. For the amount of fighting and people moving around, I think I only got lost once or twice. Sometimes I think Ishinomori went too fast and got lost in his composition, but it was minimal here. So there's other Ishinomori stuff I've read where I've been confused how he transitions from one place to another. Like he's really good at having fluidity and motion and things feeling like a film, like you're watching a movie happen in, comic book form, but then it's like, boom! Something totally different is happening, and I don't understand what happened. So, a little bit of that happened. The Samurai Horseman, who I don't think has a name in this, he's, obviously an agent of a Black Cross Army. But anyway, he has such a great design. Him and his robotic horse just look absolutely amazing. There's a great shot, which I was debating using for like the thumbnail for this, where it's him all in silhouette and just his eyes and maybe mouth are white, and he's on his horse, and the same thing, the horse's eyes are glowing white and they're in silhouette. So awesome looking. Very Balloon looks amazing. It looks like an angry flying cat monster, and I love it. So I got more stuff. Shinmei's conflict with his friend Goro was intensely dramatic. I was not expecting the big questions to come out this fast or hit so hard. Like, I figured if Ishinomori, like, there's the whole thing at the end of Kamen Rider where, blame the government you elected and all that stuff, and, what it turns out Shocker is, and Big One, or Big Machine, I think is what they call it. Yeah, Big One's another show. Or another, it's something else. But yeah, Big One being what it was. Was it Big Machine or Big One? I can't remember now. Anyway, you know what I'm talking about. Robot Dude from the Kamen Rider manga. That came at like the very end, and it seemed like Shocker was just this evil, multinational, transnational international organization, kind of like Black Cross Army, kind of like Black Ghost as well from Cyborg 009, but there's a little bit more to it, and I like how this character Goro, who, spoilers, betrays Shinmei, is like bringing up interesting points, and he's representing a certain worldview that I didn't quite expect to show up in the series at all. Especially, I think later Gorenger is more kid-centric, and I haven't seen enough of the Gorenger tokusatsu to know how much it diverges in tone, so I won't really speak on that. But anyway, getting back to my question, well, I did want to talk about one more thing, which is that I really like to, and I didn't include this in the notes so it won't be there, that Tsuyoshi has his world completely turned upside down, and he learns that his father's been hiding an aspect of his life from him for a long time. He learns that Peggy is like working for Eagle as well, and that he's being drafted into it through trickery, basically. And he rejects it and wants to walk away from it, and he's apathetic and says, "Who cares about your secret war, Dad? I don't want to be part of this." But then he wants revenge against Black Cross Army for what they did to his father, because they end up killing him and everybody he knew at the dojo. So that's in the synopsis. That's Black Cross Army wiping out Eagle all across Japan. So that's pretty. It's pretty interesting the way it's framed, to have him be a reluctant hero who then eagerly takes up the task, and then it's almost like that aspect of him, of Tsuyoshi's inner life, his family life being taken away from him, is like the being turned into a cyborg in 009 or in Kamen Rider, where it strips everything away from him, and then all that's left is this man with these particular set of skills, and he chooses to use them against the people who hurt him and his loved ones. And I don't know, I like that. And what's interesting is that, unlike in Kamen Rider and Cyborg 009, which I don't know as much about Cyborg 009 as I could, but I'm vaguely familiar. I saw about half the episodes from the anime adaptation, and I don't remember it touching on the families of the people so much. But Tsuyoshi's father is directly and then his friends from the dojo are directly affected. They're killed, and he doesn't want to let anybody else be hurt by Black Cross Army like them. So he uses everything he has against them to fight them, which is pretty cool. And he really throws himself into it. I love the again, it's a quick transition, but it makes a lot of sense. It feels like time has passed, and he's working at the curry house, and you get to see everybody go into the curry house and go underground, and he's just in the garage working there, and it feels like, oh man, Tsuyoshi's life has become being Akaranger and figuring out a way to defeat and destroy Black Cross Army, and something about that is really cool. I guess there's an element of a revenge fantasy in there that is really interesting to me. But that goes into my big question that I had at the top. Does Goro have a point when he challenges Shinmei about who the Gorengers serve? Because Eagle is supposed to be this international organization, right? But international just means that different nations are comprising it. Kind of like how a single nation is comprised of the people in its nation. So if you're going to say you can't trust the international organization that is Black Cross Army because of the evil things they're doing, well then what makes Eagle automatically pure and innocent, because they're an international organization as well that has high-tech military applicable secrets in the technology that's been developed for the Gorenger squad specifically. So that's an interesting point. It's coming from a different angle, where it's almost like a cynical view of the world, and it's like a standoffish view that's suspicious of people with power, kind of regardless of where they are. And it's this progressive worldview that kind of pushes progress above all else. Goro is saying there's no such thing as morality, and everything's relative, or everything's relativistic, or I guess everything is relative is the right way to say that. And all you really need to be concerned about is yourself and looking out for yourself and no one else, because nothing really matters, and there's no solid lines on morality or truth or anything like that. So he he presents a very postmodern narrative, and it's interesting to me to some extent, because I would have imagined Ishinomori being a fairly being an artist and such, being a fairly liberal or left-wing kind of guy, and I don't know if he was directly, but that would have been decades later too. It's a little difficult to gauge where he would have been politically, and I'm not upset. I would just assume he would have been soft towards or sensitive to like a postmodern type of worldview, but he, interestingly enough, positions the postmodern view with a villainous character who betrays his friend because he says he no longer believes in concepts like friendships or betrayal, which again is very postmodern. I'm not all about nothing about me over my 76 other episodes of Swinging Through Comics will tell you that I am all about attacking postmodernism and left liberalism and things like that. So that's not what I'm talking about. I'm surprised that Ishinomori put that as the message or part of the message in this issue, and I couldn't help think of that as I was reading the interaction between Goro and Shinmei, and I just thought it was really interesting how wise and forward-thinking it is, and how it warns of the dangers of that kind of worldview, and how you need to balance any worldview or idea that you become excited about with how does this affect people around me. Because Shinmei is a dour fellow. He's sharp, he's harsh, but he is willing to work with people around him for a good cause, and he's willing to put himself at risk for things that he believes in, and he's more moored and more anchored in like a traditional worldview, but that doesn't mean he's not harsh. I don't know if that made sense or not, but I was going somewhere with that and I kind of flew off the rails. But I think it definitely, regardless of how well I did examining that question, I still think it's a really good question, and it serves well to be a discussion piece. But I also wanted to bring up that Goro, who's rejecting these traditional ideals of friendship and humanity and cooperation and good and evil, because basically it's all about the Benjamins to him or something. That's an interesting contrast actually to Akaranger, because Tsuyoshi started off saying that he didn't want to be part of what his dad was doing, and he didn't care, and he just wanted to live his own life basically. So he wanted to go off and do what was right for himself alone and not care about any greater good or about listening to his father. And it wasn't until those traditional things that he had seen as holding him back in his life were destroyed and taken away by Black Cross Army that he wanted to fight against those things, and it pushed him back into that more traditional classic heroic role. And I just find that to be really interesting, especially excuse me, because this is the same man who made Skullman, and Skullman is dark and devious and treacherous and terrible. In fact, when I analyzed that a couple years back around Ishinomori's birthday, I titled it Nihilism Incarnate, because I feel like that's what that book is full of, versus this book has hope and it has some nuance, and it probably shows that Ishinomori had grown as a creative and an artist, and so anyway, I like it. I think it's good. I really don't have anything else to say except for if you're interested, over on mjmunoz.com, and then over on mjmunoz.com you can find, it's in the Henshin Inspection feed and a couple others. It's not in the Swing Through Comics feed. It's in the Henshin Inspection feed. I do have about a 20-minute recording of me reading an article from last year that was on Tokusatsu Network that Beats, a translator who goes by Beats, did, and it's talking about Ishinomori's early life, and it's from I think it's from the Ishinomori Pro website, and it made an allusion to a follow-up on Ishinomori and Tokusatsu, and it didn't continue. At least to my knowledge, it didn't continue. It wasn't on the Tokusatsu Network website. However, I kind of feel like I vaguely remember that years ago I was looking at the Ishinomori Pro website and they had like a Google translation to English. Maybe I'll look for that and read through that to get the second part of that series talking about Ishinomori in honor of him this week of his birthday of 2022. So anyway, that's all I have to say. I really do. Well, my focus is the story. In analyzing things, I'm kind of shifting into another era as I'm trying to make myself a better writer. I recently encountered something which is going to have me focusing on and looking at stories from a slightly different perspective. And maybe I'll just incorporate that and tack that onto what I've been doing typically when I've been analyzing stories. But I don't know exactly how I'm going to work that. I'm still figuring that out for myself. But I did want to point out that I do think the story of this is really good. It's really solid. It's very emotional. The title of the analysis, Aim right between the eyes? Let me see. I have it written down in multiple places in this document. Yeah, Aim between the eyes. That's what Shinmei tells Goro when he's telling him, yeah, go ahead and kill me, former friend. You've betrayed me once, go ahead and betray me to the next level. And I feel like this story does aim right between the eyes, and the art does too, because it's very powerful and fluid and direct, and it really is impactful, and that's really great. And the artwork definitely sells the story. It's very cinematic. It's very evocative. I know when I originally read this, I really felt for Shinmei and Goro, and then today I was rereading it, and I really felt for Tsuyoshi, and I was surprised for that. So when I say in between the eyes, I mean both the mind and the heart, because this really got me thinking about different things, and it got me feeling for these guys, and that emotional connection makes me more invested in the story, and I think that's good, so I'm singing its praises. Anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here. I encourage you to go check out mjmunoz.com. There's an author, artist, and analyzer menu at the very top where you can find more of my work, and please look forward. If you're doing this on the day, or if you're doing this on the week, or in 6 months or something, look for all my other stuff where I'm celebrating Ishinomori in the year 2022 during the week of his birthday. I should have, 2 or 3 other things up, so there might be a total of 4 or 5 segments or special things that I do concentrating on Ishinomori, because it is the week of his 84th year, or the week of the 84th year since he was born, I guess I would say. So anyway, that's it. I'm going to get out of here. I leave you with peace and blessings, and I'm going to remind you that a story is everything.